Hi, I'm Pam Bagniers with NutriPhysique, nutritionist and exercise therapist. And I'm making the grain millet this week. And then I'm going to turn it into at least two, if not probably three different dishes, okay, that I'm going to eat this week. This is how I save time in the kitchen. So first I want you to check out this millet. The first thing you can do with the grain, listen to it, kind of snap, crackle, popping. Hear that? It starts to smell. I'm just dry toasting it in a pan on medium heat, and I'm stirring it. And as soon as it starts to snap, crackle, pop, it's done. All you want to do is lightly toast millet. You can do that with buckwheat. You can do that with quinoa if you want. You don't have to do that. That's just kind of an extra step that makes the grain taste a little bit nuttier. If you like that, do it. If you don't, skip that step. I'm about 50-50. I do it sometimes, and other times I just skip it because I like it both ways. So that's the first step to cooking a grain. If you want to just toast it in a dry pan, in the pan you're going to cook it, over medium heat, just keep stirring it, because as soon as it starts to heat up, it's going to start to kind of make that little popping sound, and that means you're just starting to toast it. So now I'm going to add the liquid and start cooking it. Hi, so I'm about to make my millet, in this case, tonight. But I want you to understand that you can use this concept that I'm teaching with any grain, quinoa or buckwheat, or if you like to do wheat berries or oat groats or whatever grain you like, you can use this concept. You make one pot of grain, 1 cup in this case. I'm using 1 cup of dry organic millet. Okay, my store just carries it. Put it in their little packaging. A lot of stores have it in the bulk bins, so you can go just get however much you need. 1 cup dry millet. I'm going to make a whole big pot that's going to make a whole bunch of millet that I don't want to just sit and eat plain because that's boring. And I'm going to turn it into a coconut orange breakfast millet cereal, a hot cereal that's going to be delicious with coconut milk, oranges. I'm going to put some dried apples in there. Who knows what I'm going to put in there. It's going to be good though. And I'm also going to make a millet tabouli. So with the base, I think that this particular base I'm going to make is going to go really well in both of those recipes. So for example, you could just cook it with water. That would make a boring grain. And by the way, this works with rice too. So if you're more comfortable just starting off with brown rice, you can do that. It's just great no matter what grain you use. And I don't want to just cook it with water and have a boring grain, okay? So in this case, I'm going to cook it with coconut milk and an orange juice concentrate. So I have got about 2 cups of coconut milk. I happen to buy the light this time. I usually don't, because all they do is add water. So you get more for your money if you buy the regular. But this happened to be way on sale. It was like $1 cheaper, so I did buy a few cans of it. It's just a little more watered down, not much. So this is my 2 cups of coconut milk, and I added a little water because this is only 15 ounces. 13 ounces, sorry, so it didn't quite come to 2 cups. And then I'm using organic orange juice concentrate. I used about 1/4 cup of orange juice concentrate to 1 cup of water. So it's going to make kind of a thick, sweet orange juice, but I think once I cook the whole pot of millet, it's going to come out really good. I'm excited. So now this is how easy it is, guys. You add your liquid to your grain, which in this case we toasted, but you don't have to do that step. And that toasting step only took about 3 minutes, by the way. So I'm putting it over the heat, medium heat. Add my orange juice. Maybe you want to do something savory and you want to cook your grain with tomato sauce or tomato juice. a mixture of both tomato juice and tomato sauce. Or maybe you want to just do it with chicken broth for some flavor. Maybe you want to do it with veggie broth. That's it. I mixed it up. I'm putting the top on. I'm going to bring it to a simmer and leave it simmer about 45 minutes. The only thing you need to do about grains is you need to check in with it and see if you need to add liquid. Because depending on the age of the grain, how fresh it is, so how dried out it may be, it may need a little bit more liquid to cook. So you start out in millet, in this case, it's a 3-to-1, so 3 cups liquid to 1 cup dry. And you just cook it like rice. You let it come to a simmer and you let it simmer for a different amount of time. Now all of this is on my website. Tells you exactly what grain, how much liquid to grain ratio, how long you need to cook it. It's all on my website. And or you can Google it and find out, or sometimes it comes with the package. Just read the package. You will find differing variations with timing and liquid. If you want more of a porridgey grain, you're going to add more liquid to grain. If you want more of a drier pilaf, then you add a little less liquid. So you'll get a feel for it. Grain is about the easiest thing you could cook. You can't mess up grain. But do check in on it and about 10 or 15 minutes before it's supposed to be done, and see if it needs liquid, because in this case I'm guessing this is going to need a lot more water to just get it through its cooking process, possibly. So we'll be checking in. And while that's cooking, you can kind of prepare your foods for whatever you're going to make with it. So in my case, I'm working on chopping up some onions and some cucumber and some tomato that I'm going to throw into a tabouli millet salad with some lemon or lime juice and some olive oil. So I'm going to make that, plus I'm going to make the orange one. So I'm just going to add orange sections and dried apples to that, so no big deal. I'll get my spices and my veggies going. So let me show you how I get the veggies going, because this is cool too. Very cool trick. My onion chopper, that's what they call it at the store, I just chopped up just about everything I need for this salad. I even took cherry tomatoes and put them in here. So I put some cherry tomatoes in here. The idea is you put it in there, you close it, and you've got chopped veggies. You do that with your cucumber. I just took my cucumber and I cut it into about 1/2-inch thick slices, put it in there, and that's it. And I'm going to have all these beautiful, wait till I show you, little cubes of peppers and onions and tomatoes. So I've got cucumbers, my tomatoes chopped up, onion, pepper. I did some yellow pepper. I did some green beans. Here's my green beans. I just threw some leftover green beans on that grid and shut it down, and I'm good to go. So now I've got all these wonderful veggies for my millet tabouli. So I'll check in with you when the millet's done. I'll show you what it looks like when it's done, and we'll make 2 separate dishes with 1 pot of millet. See you later. Hi. So it's time to put my millet into action, and I'm going to make a delicious breakfast cereal, and I'm going to make a delicious tabouli millet salad. So I've got the millet all cooked. I've got some of it in the freezer cooling, because for the salad I want it cooled down millet, and I just cooked it so it's still hot. And I've got my warm millet here ready to go for my breakfast cereal. And this can be made the night before and then reheated and eaten, you know, in the morning nice and hot the way we like it. So I forgot one thing. When you're cooking the millet, in this particular recipe, it calls for just a little bit of 1/2 teaspoon of ground cardamom seeds. So I threw that in. Thus the brown speckled little bit of millet, but this is what it looks like when it comes out. Generally just this beautiful kind of golden color. Okay, so some of these darker colors is the cardamom. So now what I'm going to do, I love to add nut butter to hot cereal, whether it's oatmeal or whatever, just a dollop because it adds protein and it adds a really, really yummy flavor. So we're going to mix in almond butter. Okay, get that in there while it's hot and it just starts to melt away really nicely in there. Okay, so we've got our almond butter in there. Now, I am going to, because there's that flavor of the orange, remember we made this with orange juice? In this case, I'm going to add oranges. Obviously, with just about anything you do. Don't add these until you're ready to eat them, though. You don't want to add those and then put that in the microwave and heat it up, or put it on the stove with the oranges. Add those fresh. This is just a nice little jar of mandarin oranges I found at my health food store. Makes life easy. I'm going to throw on some shredded coconut, of course, toasted shredded coconut, some dried cranberries, and I like those stirred in too because then that's when they start to soften and really taste sweet and good. So stir those guys in there. I should put those in first, but they're getting in there. It's looking good. Cashews, any nut, almonds, pecans, whatever you're in the mood for. When you're ready to eat it, of course, the next morning, add some Greek yogurt. I'm adding just some plain 2% Greek yogurt for the creaminess. I'm going to add maple syrup, but you can add honey or agave or stevia or nothing if you want. Just going to add a little bit of that. Let's see how this came out. This is the best part. My favorite part. Gotta get a little bit of everything in that bite, you know. Just gotta be one big bite. Mmm. That's a success. That's delicious. I gotta tell you. You gotta try it. The tanginess of the orange juice in there really makes it good. And oddly enough, I think that's going to go great in this citrusy lime millet tabouli. So now let's jump over here with my same pot of millet, which I have in the freezer, cooling down. Okay, because I wanted to speed cool it. Normally, you could just do this the next day when it's nice and cool. But I've got in my pan here my chopped up cucumbers, tomatoes. I added some cilantro. Added some little cilantro leaves in there. You can add more every time you eat it, just to have a little fresh garnish. And by the way, I had so many extra vegetables that I added some vinegar and oil, and I'm going to have some nice chopped salad to eat this week as well. So I just took those, added some vinegar and oil. I'm going to have these. I put that with some spinach or some dark greens. I got a great salad. Okay, so now in here we're going to do 1/8 of a cup of pure organic lime juice. Okay. And 1/8 of a cup of really good olive oil. Don't skimp here. Use the good stuff because it makes a difference. And it does call for some honey or agave. So in this case, I'm going to use some agave nectar because I am right down to the bottom. And that's really, it's just a tiny bit. We're not adding sugar to add sugar. I added maybe a teaspoon or two just now. It's just to cut the acidity of the lime. You don't want to go and have a sour face when you eat this. You want to have that nice limey flavor, citrusy flavor, without, you know, the tart attack. So now I'm going to add the millet. I'm And this millet, I gotta tell you, it came out really good. You just could taste that. It's so delicious. And we're gonna mix this all up, and it becomes this delicious. Remember tabouli, in the, what was it, in the 70s, I think we were eating this stuff. Maybe the 80s. Kind of a groovy hippie dish. Usually made with wheat berries, but it can be made with absolutely any grain whatsoever. And we're getting it nice and mixed up here. I'm going to sprinkle it with some pine nuts, right where I'm going to take a bite. Some salt and ground pepper to finish it off. Look at that. Two beautiful, look at this, dishes from one totally different too. One pot of quinoa, two completely different dishes. I'm going to be eating on this all week. This is at least a couple breakfasts for me. This is lots of lunches for me and my family. Oh, I might share. It's not only for me. Anyway, I'm going to be really rude and obnoxious and just use this giant spoon to do my tasting. That's so good. You gotta try this. Gotta try it. Thanks. See you later. If you want some more cool, nifty kitchen tips like this, cooking tips, I send them out all the time. I send videos like this out on my online program called Inspiration with Every Bite. And you can find out more about it at www.nutriphysique.net. Thanks.